Another week, another high-octane battle. India is set to clash against Pakistan after Pakistan sealed the clash by winning against Hong Kong the other day. And India is heading into the Super 4 of the Asia Cup 2022 with a clean record. Our boys are at the top of the table with 2 wins in 2 matches and 4 points. The Pakistanis, on the other hand, are at second position with 1 win in 2 matches and 2 points. In the latest, Akshar Patel has replaced Ravindra Jadeja in the squad due to the latter suffering an injury. He is going to be out for a considerable amount of time. Let's discuss India's performance at the Asia Cup and what the strengths and weaknesses of India and Pakistan are going to be. The last match that took place between these two giants was not only a crunching and a nail biter as well as something that went down the wire, but also something which did not give away too much about the weaknesses of either side. Sunil Yashkalra, founder of Indian Sports Fan, joins me on this program. Syed Sabah Karim, former India cricketer, is also here with us. Syed Sabah, appreciate you joining us. Mr. Harpal Singh Bedi, sports journalist, also with us on the show. Sabah, let me start by asking you, and I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can, Vinny. Go ahead.
Right. Well, Sabah, another cracker of a match lined up between India and Pakistan. For India, if it can be said correctly, that our batting was obviously complemented by the bowling as well. But when you speak about the Pakistanis, they did have some chinks in their armor. We saw some of their bowlers, in fact, falling prey to the conditions over there, falling prey to certain fitness levels as well. In your macro opinion, what's this match going to be focused on predominantly? And is Pakistan going to come in with an axe to grind? And the law of averages is also something which is going to work in their favor.
At the outset, Vineet, I love these, traditional rivals whenever they are pitted against each other. It adds to the excitement. And I think the Asian Cricket Council have been extremely wise and professional in ensuring that they get to play against each other at least twice. And if they play well here, if they win the rest of the games, I'm sure we can see another clash in the finals of this Asia Cup. Right. Having said this, I also feel that both the teams are kind of on equal footing. I know India beat Pakistan, but the way Pakistan performed in the last game against Hong Kong, it seems that they're trying to emerge, from their so-called, conservative kind of a batting approach. It was wonderful to see Khushdir Shah coming in and score some quick runs. Mohammad Rizwan again put his hands up and scored some useful runs for Pakistan. The bowling has always been very handy. And even in yesterday's game against Hong Kong, they displayed that. So right. I expect another, close kind of an encounter against India. India, on the other hand, I get this impression, Vinny, that we are peaking at the right time. I know both KL Rahul and Virat Kohli have come back after a long layoff, but I get the feeling that both of them are striking form at the right time. Our bowling looks pretty good, although there were some questions raised about Avesh Khan and Arshdeep Singh, but in the past they've done quite well, and I would love to see the Indian selectors and the Indian team management persist with these two young seamers. Jadeja, he will be missed because
definitely,
of the multi-dimensional kind of role he can play. He can bat up the order, plus he's such an important member of the side as a fielder, as well as a left-arm spinner. But Akshar Patel has been in very good form, so I don't think India. I hope so that India does not miss Jadeja so much, because Akshar Patel can easily fill in his shoes.
And Sabah, I definitely need to ask you this as well, that Rohit Sharma and KL Rahul are yet to make big contributions in this series. Is that something which could be some sort of a problem?
Yeah, well, ideally you would want at least one of them to fire and score some big runs, and then that lays the platform for India to post a big score. I think the worry is more when India will bat first. I think that's when you expect both these two experienced openers to put some runs on board or stitch a valuable partnership for India. Rohit Sharma has been around for several years. He has loads of experience, and it requires just one big innings to come good. And I think Pakistan offers that kind of opportunity. KL Rahul, I thought he's just trying to ease himself in. He doesn't want to, kind of stay ahead all the time, because he knows that he's coming back from a long layoff. And I think Indian team management needs to give him that kind of confidence. And I hope that they will continue to do so. So yes, I think between these two, if one of them can play up to 14th, 15th over, that really help India to post a big score, or even run down a big target.
All right. Sunil, let's talk a bit about Virat Kohli as well. 35 against Pakistan in that game and 59 against Hong Kong by Virat Kohli. His form has been the talk of the town. A lot of people are saying that this dry run that Virat Kohli has had is putting some extra pressure on him. Do you think that after the game against Hong Kong, he should feel a little at ease, or do you think it doesn't really matter? Not to denigrate anyone, but it's still Hong Kong.
Well,
Pakistan dismissed them for 38.
They demolished Hong Kong, but at the same time, the Hong Kong put a spirited fight against India. On a given day in a T20 match, as you've seen, that anything can happen. It's a matter of just 10 deliveries here and there, and the games can swing. Talking about Virat Kohli, he's a class apart. He's a once-in-a-generation kind of a batter you'd not only get in India, but across all formats, anywhere in the world. So for him, the pressure isn't as much as you could see or feel when people are talking. He just completely zones out. Whatever one reads of Virat, he zones out, he goes in his own little comfort level, and then he starts gliding into the innings. It's not like a place or a player who would just go and try to score runs in a very fast-fitting manner. He just glides into it.
Sunil, what I heard in the commentary the other day from, in fact, Waqar Younis and Wasim Akram, that forget about any other player, the Pakistanis definitely always have a strategy and have a plan to dismiss Virat Kohli, regardless of his form.
Irrespective of the bowlers. I mean, the Pakistan guys are the best bowlers in the world. You've seen that over the last 3-4 decades. And they do have a strategic plan for every batter. But here, you have a KL Rahul to deal with, you have a Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, Surya Kumar Yadav, Hardik Pandya. So all they need to do is get 5 out of 5 strategies right, which is, at Sawabus agree that it's impossible to get everything right in a T20 format on a given day with the kind of lineup that you have as you have.
And Mr. Bedi, the ironic thing has been that in this Asia Cup, it's been the spinners for Pakistan who have been giving them the wickets, and it's been the pacers for India who have been giving us the wickets. Do you think there's been a shift in the mindset for both the teams if you compare it with what happened in the Asia Cup last time around?
Talking about only a match against Pakistan where our seamers did well and we struggled against Hong Kong. Having said that, one thing I must say, I think I will be committing a blasphemy at the moment, and I'm worried about it because Sabha and others are there, that our top three is looking very fragile, whether it is Virat Kohli, whether it is KL Rahul, whether Rohit Sharma. And it seems that talking like this is the biggest mistake. And anybody talking like this, that our top three look very tentative, it seems committing a blasphemy, and the man who's talking has no knowledge of cricket. I admit that. But I don't think these three don't give you confidence. In last match, even against the first match, even in the World Cup. Somewhere these three, and they are again playing. I hope I'm wrong, and I wish I am wrong. And I hope somebody tomorrow will tell me that, Mr. Bedi, these people are, whatever, they are the greatest players. They are. And because they're still there. Anybody else in their place would have been dumped by now. But to say that Virat Kohli is a tentative is like committing a crime. But he looks tentative. 51 against Hong Kong. If you're comparing that, it's like Roger Federer playing against some Indian player, and Indian player taking 1 or 2 sets again. Doesn't make any difference to Rohit. It doesn't speak talk well of Roger Federer. But tomorrow, I think India will be under pressure because we are going to persist with them. And Avesh Khan and Arshdeep, whatever may be there, they will again be under pressure because the hammering they got from Hong Kong. That will be a fact. Now, how they will come out of it, I think Sabha will be able to tell you more about that. But this Indian team tomorrow will be definitely under pressure, given the top three. And if we have to bat first, we as Sabha said, we have to score wrong. We have to score, but what will happen if this top three doesn't click? If they click, then our problem is sorted out. No problem, no issues. But the very fact I am talking as a layman, as a journalist, I'm not an cricket expert. If I am saying that I am worried about these top three, previously these top three were enough. One of them would failing, makes no difference. The other will score. Second will fail, third will score. But at the moment, the collective failure of top three will have a very damaging effect on India. And every time you cannot repeat what you did in the first match. So that, I think, picking of these three players will make the top, will depend a lot. And whether they should persist with KL Rahul, why not bring Rishabh Pant? What is the problem?
Okay, Sabha, the top three could be in trouble. Do you think that pressure or that emotion that you get against Pakistan is only going to in fact double that pressure that teams usually feel in a T20 game?
But that's the best part of it, Vineet, isn't it? That's what you play the game for. You need to accept such challenges, and I expect the top three to do that. I know against Pakistan it's a high pressure game, but that's the fun of it. If you do well in such high pressure game, that's what gives you more name, that's what gives you more credence, and that is why you are there in the side, because you're expected to play a big role in such important encounters. And all three of them have enough experience to do that. Virat Kohli has always against Pakistan scored a lot of runs in all three formats, or in all two formats. I don't remember Virat playing test matches against Pakistan. But yes, I mean, the way Virat batted, Virat's issue over the past maybe 1 or 2 years, especially in T20 format, was that when he stepped out to bat, I felt that he did not have that kind of clarity in his mind how to approach his innings. Finally, after much thinking, and I think after his long layoff, he has realized that he has to go back to his previous self when he would run a ball for the first 15-20 runs and then accelerate. And I think Indian team management and the captain and the coach, they need to accept that this is the kind of role Virat Kohli can play. Now, how it will be how it can be useful for India is that you need one stability among the top three, and Virat Kohli offers that. It will help India to win games if Virat Kohli continues to bat like this, because he's used to batting in difficult conditions against top opposition bowlers. And I think that's what you expect from Virat Kohli. So he can get off to a kind of run of ball start 15-20, and then he can accelerate. That offers a lot of stability to the Indian batting lineup, and the others can play around him, whether it's Surya Kumar Yadav or Rohit Sharma or KL Rahul. But having said that, I do believe in it that among the top three, only one can play a role like this, for which Virat Kohli is ideally suited. The other two, they need to be more aggressive, and they need to put runs in a brisk manner at the top of the order. That's the way I look at it. And if India go in with this kind of approach, I'm sure we will emerge winners. Harpalji is correct in his own way. And I do feel that some time back, or maybe some months ago, we had this issue of the top three. But now I think with both KL Rahul and Virat Kohli back in the side, and they're looking quite good now, we do expect some big runs from these two cricketers also.
Right. Sabha, also shed light on some of the Pakistani bowlers. We see a lot of them cramping and struggling in that kind of a weather. Why was that happening, and is that something which the Indian players have also been susceptible to, because it's the bilateral series don't exist between India and Pakistan, so there is a lot of room for surprises. But what we saw happening with the Pakistani bowlers was completely out of the ordinary. What would describe that?
I was the other day chatting with some of the senior strength and conditioning experts, and also some of the physios. They feel that it is a combination of factors. Number one is because of the heat and dehydration, you lose a lot of water. But more importantly is that it's also because of the pressure that builds up. You allow pressure to seep in, and that is where you end up cramping. It is not only because of dehydration. It also happens when your body is very tense and your nerves are very tight, and then you end up having such cramps. So I think it's very important when you play a high pressure game, Vineet, that you are extremely relaxed in your body and your mind when you play such encounter, whether you're bowling, whether you're batting, or whether you're fielding. We have seen such silly mistakes on the field also. It has always happened in the past, and it will continue to happen, because some players in difficult situations, like at times, cannot take it. At times they are able to manage. So I think that's the evolving kind of a process for cricketers to understand. I hope that India does not succumb, or Indian players do not succumb to that kind of pressure, and they bat freely and they bowl with confidence, and they don't face any such issues in terms of of fitness or cramping due to pressure.
Right, you're absolutely right. Naseem Shah was one of those guys. You're feeling bad for him, Sunil, that he was limping on the ground. But however, Sunil, any changes you predict that could be in the team? Obviously, Jadeja is not there, so there will be some permutation and combination. But I guess most of the team will stay intact going into this winning combination.
Well, if you look at the current, statistically speaking, if you look at the current way things have gone and the toss part, there would be one or two changes, especially at the top, in all the 4 teams that have played in the last 7 matches. So technically, yes, there are bound to be at least one top order change in India, and these are all going by the permutation combination we're looking at. One important factor here, the toss is very important. Out of the 7 matches that have been played, the team that has won the 6 times the toss have gone into chase. So toss will also play an important factor if things go, and more importantly, we haven't touched upon the extras part, which is also very crucial in the India-Pakistan game. If you look at the numbers and figures, I think you need to get experienced bowlers who could bowl your wides a little less as compared to what Pakistan did. I think blasphemy was the word that was used by Mr. Bedi. I think the bowlers who give more wides, as what Pakistan did, which was 9 on that particular day, I think Indians need to just contain from 4 to 2 in the 20 limited overs. So again, the bowling squad, again, Sabah is a great guy to answer this question, but looking at the pattern, there would be one change at the top of the order, depending on the team.
Right, and Mr. Bedi, if you look at the Pakistani top order as well, they themselves seem to be struggling at this point in time. Fakhar Zaman and Babar Azam, not being able to live up to their reputation, and Mohammad Rizwan was the only saving grace against India. Do you think that is going to be advantage India again in this match?
Oh, if you think that is going to be advantage, let it be. But I agree with Sunil that there is going to be some change. I think somewhere Pakistan at the moment, when we're talking, has an edge over India. I may be wrong, and I want to be wrong. But India, Pakistan, and if they win the toss, India will be in trouble. That is one sure. Lot depends on Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma and Rahul if they play. So if your team is only depending on 3, see, the Pakistani can fight back. They have a very deep bowling lineup also, which is not in our case at the moment, because with Ravinder Jadeja getting out, it's Akshar Patel plays, or they bring Deepak Chahar in, or they bring in 1 or 2 changes I think are bound to happen, take place. But Pakistani having the plate and demoralized Hong Kong, I think Hong Kong was a good team vis-a-vis India. So the way they dismantle Hong Kong will give them a lot of confidence vis-a-vis India. And their only idea is, now, as Sabha said, that we should be depending on if Virat Kohli plays good inning. So Virat did play good inning last year also. But when you lose 2 wickets in first over or 2 overs, Sharma and Rahul, it will have a cascading effect. Now the question is how to stay there. It's not a question of Virat Kohli, how much Virat Kohli is scoring. Virat scored last time also. Virat scored in T20 World Cup also. But what happened otherwise? So I think there is the fragility of top 3 is a main source of worry for India. Despite the fact that these 3 are the most experienced players, and if you go by the statistics and all that, their run rate and whatever they have done and how they have plundered the bowling. But the question is, when they play against Pakistan, the whole thing changes. It's a high voltage game. It gets onto your nerves. Not last time also, match was made very interesting or a very close match. It should not have been. The question is, because we are playing against Pakistan, match tended to be so close. Earlier matches, till the World Cup, the T20 World Cup last year, all 7 or 8 matches previously from 2016 have been very one-sided matches. Very, very one-sided matches. You say whether India won or when Pakistan won. But last Sunday match was a forced match. It was not very exciting, but it was made exciting. Like everybody was not sure what they're up to. So 150 was not a 40 something or 150 was not a score which India should have struggled, but India struggled, given the fact that we had a full-fledged team. So tomorrow is a different day. Tomorrow is a different game. Let's forget about what has happened. Like Zimbabwe beat Australia. Nobody expected them in that too also. The T20 is a different ball game. Whatever we may say may not turn out to be correct. But tomorrow, one thing is there, that these top three have to justify their presence. Not every time you will say that they have played so much, they have done so much service for India, then let them continue. There is a time you have to draw a line. While other countries, barring Pakistan and India, who live on their reputation and keep on carrying a reputation, and anybody saying, "Bhaiya, ye kya kar rahe ho?" Then everybody pounds on them. You do not know cricket, so that the idea should go and let them perform. And time for them to perform before the World Cup is tomorrow. And if they perform well, India will win.
All right.
That is, I think,
valid point, Mr. Bedi. Valid point. Sabha, another concern I'd like you to react to is, the expensive overs by some of these youngsters, Arshdeep Singh and Avesh Khan. Is that something which is going to be a problem for the management? And if so, what are the likely changes? Ashwin is going to be brought back in. Even Yuzvendra Chahal, was a wee bit expensive the other day.
Well, you don't have too many options here, Vineet, because you don't have any extra seamer in the squad of 15. So if Rohit Sharma wants to go ahead and play 3 seamers plus Hardik Pandya as a 6th bowler, then you're left with no choice at all. So you have to go ahead with Avesh Khan and Arshdeep Singh. And also, I think, on the other hand, if you are trying to build a side for the World Cup, you need to understand that on such at times your young bowler or even experienced seamer will go for runs. But before this, in West Indies and even before that against England, both these young seamers have bowled quite well. So you need to show that kind of faith in both these young seamers, Arshdeep and Avesh Khan. So I do not expect too many changes in the 11. I feel that the only change I can perceive here is Akshar Patel coming in place of Ravindra Jadeja. Otherwise, I would expect India to go in with the same kind of combination. India has done well to persist with 5 bowlers plus Hardik Pandya as a 6th bowler. It gives you multiple options in the field, so that even if one of your main bowler goes for runs, you have Hardik Pandya to come in and bowl those remaining overs. Hardik Pandya has been among wickets, so I think all this bodes well for India. So I mean, the way Rahul Dravid and Rohit Sharma have tried to build a side, I do expect them to persist with the 2 young seamers as I talked about, and I also feel that a similar kind of combination for this game against Pakistan.
Right. Sabha, also talk about the weather as well as the toss. How crucial is it going to be? India have been lucky. We are good at chasing. Pakistan, on the other hand, have not been lucky, in this edition as well as the previous edition when it comes to tosses. Is that something that India should or should not rely on?
See, toss becomes crucial in the T20 game, Vineet, and I admit to that. But, when you prepare for a T20 match, you need to put toss away. Toss has to become irrelevant for you. That's the way you prepare. And I'm glad to see that leading up to this Asia Cup, India has done well. On occasions, India has tried to put itself in difficult situation by batting first. That allows them that kind of experience. And at India's failure in the past in T20 games has always been this: when we lose the toss, we lose early wickets, and then we are down and out. It happened in the last year's World Cup also. We saw what happened against India, against Pakistan, and against New Zealand. So India has been extremely wary about that, and India has prepared according to that. So I think the kind of batting strength we have in our lineup, you have the 2 openers, Virat Kohli, Surya Kumar Yadav, Hardik Pandya, Dinesh Karthik is in the 11. So I think you have enough batting to withstand such kind of pressure of batting first. So I think India needs to go into this encounter against Pakistan that even if they lose the toss and they have to bat first, they do have enough firepower to put up a challenging score and beat Pakistan. And I think that's the way I would like to look at it. And your preparation has to be like that. You need to prepare for uncomfortable situations. Otherwise, it gets very difficult to win big encounters and big tournaments like the ICC World Cup.
Right. Closing thoughts, Sunil and Mr. Bedi. What do you think India should be more focused on when they play this match against Pakistan? It's full of surprises. Like I said earlier as well, Sunil, there is no bilateral relationship between India and Pakistan. The last time that happened was in 2013. So, a lot of surprises. There is no familiarity in terms of what the players are going to do, what the management is going to be like, and what decisions are going to be made on field. So, there is definitely, an oddity about these predictions.
Well, when you audit the stats, what you look at is that in the first power play, you've got to look at containing those 3rd, 4th and 5th ball of the innings, which usually goes for the 4. So I think containing that part is important, and taking care of your wides. I think India has done a fantastic job. I think if they continue to look at the extras...
But that was a problem with the Pakistani bowlers as well in terms of...
I think they were a wee
wides.
bit higher as compared to India. But I think if India goes down with only those 4 or 3 wides, I think we've made home very secured. But if you go beyond it, it's not only an extra delivery, but also an extra run, and it eases off the pressure. So I think the wides and nose should be taken care of, and the 3rd, 4th and the 5th delivery of the power play. I think these are 2 stats to look at.
All right, Mr. Bedi, concluding thoughts from you, and what should India be focused on? Fielding has not been a problem. Decision making has not been a problem. Reviews have also not been a problem. They've gone for India. Any particular point that you feel India should be focusing on when they take on our age-old adversary?
I think India has to be on the offensive. I think last year's defeat is still in their mind. So they are looking very tentative. It was not the case earlier when India used to play Pakistan. As told you, and Rohit Sharma was very belligerent against Pakistan in previous encounters. But last year's defeat somewhere has made a deep impact on Indian team. Whether you like it or not, this remains a fact. And now, the first match, we struggled to win. Which a match, if this had happened 2 years back, we would have won easily. So now let us forget about the past. And tomorrow is a totally different game altogether. So I think India should go all out. And I agree with Sabha that we have to be prepared that we are going to bat first. This is every team has to go with this plan. I'm not giving you something great expert advice, but India should go with the idea they are going to bat first, and India has to score a run. And all the players who are going to play and who are going to bat, and that's there. Somewhere I disagree that the 4 or 5 players are enough. If 4 or 5 players, then why? What are the other 2 top players? So everybody has to contribute on this. But my last suggestion, I will like to know from Sabha, why not Ashwin in place of Chahal?
No,
Sabha, you want to answer that?
well, I don't think so, Harpalji, because at this stage, Yuzi Chahal has bowled quite well. One odd game, you'll always find spinners go for runs, but I think Yuzi Chahal has been extremely effective. You know, in a leg spinner, for a leg spinner in a T20 game, the batters also need to attack him, and I haven't seen that in these 2 games. So, but I do expect Yuzi Chahal to be back among wickets. And as I said earlier, I do not expect far too many changes. You know, one more point I wanted to make, Vineet, is India needs to be careful about the slow over rate. The new ICC rule says that if you are bowling slow, then you need to get one more fielder in the circle. And that creates problem. India in the last game against Pakistan, the last 2 overs, they bowled with 5 fielders inside the circle. Pakistan, on the other hand, they were worse. They had, in the last 3 overs, they had to bowl with 5 fielders inside the circle. And that is one of the reasons why Hardik Pandya found it so easy to hit those runs. So I think India needs to be extremely careful, get over your overs quickly, so that you don't get into this issue of bowling your last 2 or 3 overs with an extra fielder inside the circle.
Absolutely, and you know, the valid point that has been made by Sabha and all the others is that you know, you cannot take your luck in terms of winning the toss as something for granted. You have to be prepared to bat first as well, because India's strength have often in the past been validated by chasing, but anything can happen. It's a T20 format and it's happening against Pakistan. We take a short break. Thank you, Sabha, Mr. Bedi and Sunil for joining us on this particular show.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.